Democrats' impeachment push heating up after the White House declassified the whistleblower's complaint. But what does it show, and is there actually a case for impeachment? Former Baltimore prosecutor Debbie Hines and former deputy counsel for the Republican National Committee, Alex Vogel, join me now for a legal debate. Thank you so much for getting up to be here with us. First, let's set the backdrop, the steps in the impeachment process. Far cry from what Nancy Pelosi declared on Tuesday. There are a lot more steps to go, and here they are. The House Judiciary Committee must hold hearings, prepare articles of impeachment, then full House consideration of the articles of impeachment. Officials must stand trial in the Senate if voted to move on impeachment, and for the official to be removed, 2/3 of the Senate must vote to convict. If the Senate decides on those 2/3, the official may be forbidden from holding government office again. With that as the backdrop, I am the judge. You are the two legal combatants. Prosecutor Hines, set forth your argument for impeachment.
Okay, so here's the argument for impeachment. Under the circumstances, impeachment can occur whenever there has been high crimes or misdemeanors that have been committed by the president in this instance. And so what we're going to look at is not just the whistleblower's complaint, but what the evidence is going to show is the corroboration of the other witnesses, which is more than half a dozen, who either know about directly the phone call that the president made to the Ukrainian president, basically stating in no uncertain terms that if he might withhold aid unless the Ukrainian president could offer some assistance in the investigation of Joe Biden.
Let me interrupt you here. What exactly, though, is the high crime and misdemeanor that has been committed by the president?
Well, we don't know. Let me just phrase it this way. We don't know what has been committed, but if I'm arguing that the articles of impeachment have already been set forth, what we would be talking about is the crime of bribery or extortion. Because anytime you are offering something in exchange for the other party to do something, as in this case, you're going to hold up $400 million versus aid to the Ukrainian people in order for the Ukrainian president to investigate, that would be a case of bribery of extortion if it can be presented.
Let me get defense attorney Vogel in here. Your response.
Well, a couple of things. Number one, as was noted, we don't know what happened here. We know what the allegation is. But more importantly, impeachment is not a legal process in the traditional sense. There's not a legal standard that the prosecution has to meet. High crimes and misdemeanors in this context is whatever the House of Representatives says that they believe it is, and therefore it was intentionally designed as a political process so that those who voted on it would be immediately held accountable by the voters. So again, they can impeach someone because they don't like the color of his tie. The real issue is one of politics. There is no legal standard either to convict or for someone to object to that appeal. The underlying issue people are talking about is, of course, the nature of the telephone call between the president and a foreign leader. Number of issues there. Number one, generally speaking, those would be considered among the most privileged conversations to take place. So we'll see how this plays out. But I think, as you noted, there's a long way between here and there.
20 seconds each on the closing arguments. Prosecutor Hines.
Yes, there is a long way between here and there. There's nothing that's ever quick in any proceeding. But what I will say is it's not just a phone call that we're looking at. We're looking at a series of events that happened beginning of this year with Rudy Giuliani. And once all those pieces are put together along with that phone call, I think that what we're going to find out, at least the American people are going to hear, that there is a case that has been made for high crimes and misdemeanors, extortion, bribery.
Mr. Vogel.
Conversation took place between two world leaders, and the president quite appropriately raised the issue of corruption in that context. That's it. That's not an impeachable offense.
There you go. We are nowhere near close to figuring this out, and quite frankly, I'm glad I'm not a judge. Ms. Hines, Mr. Vogel, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.